My name is Ian, and I find video games for busy people so that you can stop searching and start playing. And while emotionally haunted children and hordes of rats may not seem like they fit the bill, I assure you that A Plague Tale Requiem is a good game for you. Harken back to a day when I released a video about A Plague Tale Innocence, the first game in the series. I opened with a caveat that it didn't fit the basic mold of the game my channel normally features. I loved that it explored an oft-ignored time period, had a long, well-written campaign, and featured a checkpoint system that ensured you never replayed too much of a level if you happened to get eaten by rats. But other than that, I didn't highlight a ton of reasons that it was good for busy people. It was just all in all, a good game. But the second installment in the series took everything I loved about the first and kicked it up to a whole nother level. When last we left Amicia and Hugo de Rune, they had experienced a harrowing, nightmarish journey full of rats, plagues, and plagues of rats. At the young age of just 15, Amicia bore the heavy burden of defending and protecting Hugo, her rat blood brother. And by that I mean he has a connection to the rats because of his special blood. Unfortunately, that special blood is also going to be his death. Amicia learns this very sad fact from the local secret society doctor, and while I doubt he has his MD, he's probably the most qualified expert in the area.
The best, you can be sure.
But to be real, I don't really think it takes an MD to tell you that rat blood is bad blood. And so the siblings set off once more to find a cure for Hugo's terminal rat blooditis. Instead of exploring the interpersonal relationship between Amicia and her brother, we instead explore the lingering impact of the atrocities the siblings witnessed throughout their time in Requiem, aka the first game, like their homestead being slaughtered, just flat out entire battlefield, or worst of all, this entire level where you had to play as Hugo. Amicia's devotion to her brother has begun to manifest itself as an obsessive bloodlust, and the rats that follow Hugo anywhere he runs have begun to wear on him, making him feel as though he can't go anywhere without bringing destruction with him. On their search for a cure, the siblings traveled through many beautifully rendered biomes, making friends and enemies along the way, and occasionally sharing moments of brevity that remind us that they're only children.
Goodness!
You got so scared!
These moments add up to one of Requiem's greatest improvements over its predecessor. I found the overall narrative and the character relationships in the second game to be far more focused and impactful than the first game. And maybe I'm stereotyping my audience a bit here, but if you're a busy person, it's likely because you're at a period in your life where outside responsibilities have started to take up more of your time. If so, you're likely the type of person who could then buy into the maturity and complexity of the story Requiem seeks to tell. Open world games have been dominating the market over the past decade, but recently I've been noticing a little bit of a shift. Expansive worlds that on first glance appeared fully open and explorable, but on a deeper dive were mostly empty and filled with walking from one destination to another, have sort of worn thin on me. I think I spent more time fast traveling in Skyrim than actually walking places. Climbing the towers in Assassin's Creed got old rapidly, and clomping across the capital wasteland in Fallout 3 made me wish for a nuclear winter. Requiem ditches the open world concept for a fully linear experience. The levels are tightly packed with details, world building, and secrets that flesh out the world in which Hugo and Amicia live.
There's some abandoned cargo here. I think it's silk. Lucas, look. Real silk.
It probably came from China.
But these linear levels aren't simple. They're packed with different pathways and routes for you to take, different obstacles for you to conquer, and different ways to beat your enemies, rats, and through these simple design mechanisms, just by narrowing the scope of the levels, the developers erase the need for expansive RPG elements, and they build immersion by stuffing the levels full with world design and enjoyable stealth action gameplay. And I've gotten increasingly into this style of design because it keeps the developer's scope of work focused entirely on exactly what the player will experience, as opposed to just filling stuff into the world with what they might experience if they go to that corner. In the end, what it means is that every ounce of effort that went into the game will make its way to you, ensuring that as a busy person, you won't have to go chasing far-off secrets to get to the best weapons or most complete narrative experience. The Plague Tale mechanics have always centered around the interactions between Amicia and the rats, Amicia and the guards and the rats. And this triangle of interaction created a ton of really neat gameplay opportunities in the first game, and the developers were smart enough to look at it and say, hey, let's keep this aspect, but let's just make it more. And make it more they did. Amicia comes equipped with tons of new items that let her light things on fire, extinguish torches, attract rats, and blind enemies by supercharging the lights coming off of their own torches. Also kill people, she can do that still.
You're dead! You're goddamn dead!
And although she's gotten more warrior-like, Amicia still can't take on a plate mail enemy in hand-to-hand combat, especially because the enemies have gotten smarter. They remember that they've been distracted, they carry torches to look out for each other. When a comrade is found slain, they go on alert and they let other people know as well. And the rats are still rats, they eat anything they can get their grubby little teeth on, but this time, Amicia makes allies who bring their own skills to the table. But I'm not going to talk about any of them because all of them are story spoilers. Now I will say, the rat mechanic isn't as fresh or new or gimmicky as it was in the first installment, but it's leveraged so much better in Requiem. The design of the levels sees you solving subtle puzzles, usually about how to make rats best eat your enemies. And you'll find yourself absolutely sucked in and celebrating when you find a way to beat, bypass, or overcome an obstacle in your own personal style. And I absolutely have to mention just how beautiful this game is. For a game about rats seizing the world and millions of people dying in a plague, it paints vista after vista by recreating beautiful Mediterranean oceanside landscapes and fields of rolling flowers. The soundtrack dances between liturgical choral music and brooding dark strings, depending on the pace of the game. When the rats are around, that peaceful background music changes to this frenetic, pulse-raising, violin stabbing music. And honestly, this might be the first game since Red Dead 2 where I stopped and just watched the ocean, the fields, and the NPCs go about their business. True immersion is really hard to come by, but by Joe, they've done it here in Requiem, which is excellent if you're looking to escape the doldrums of daily life, and instead looking to break away for a bit into a world on the brink of extinction that somehow still manages to cling to hope with its natural beauty. If you can't tell, I really liked this game. The world lives and breathes in a way that few games do, and as such I can't help but recommend it for busy people based nearly entirely on the fact that it is an absolutely focused experience teeming with life. It sheds the boring aspects of RPGs, choosing instead to reward you for how you play. And on top of all that, it's done with an expert polish that is just hard to come by nowadays. All in all, I give Plague Tale Requiem 5 human-consuming rat swarms out of 5 human-consuming rat swarms. Highly recommended.